Welcome back, guys. We're back with Parasyte the Maxim again, and we're gonna recap episodes 7 to 9 in this video. Spoilers warning. Now, let's get into it. In the last episode, Shinichi was about to take revenge on the killer who killed his mother. Shinichi corners the Parasyte, but it turned out to be a different person. It wasn't the one that killed his mom. Migi still senses a parasite in the man. The man's mouth deforms to reveal a parasite, however, the man's brain is still intact. This means, like Shinichi, the parasite failed to take over the host's brain. The man tells Shinichi that his wife left him because he was too easygoing and indecisive. He tried killing himself but wasn't brave enough to. During this, the parasite latched onto him and went for the brain. However, the man fell off the cliff and was drowning. Instead of going for the brain, the parasite stayed in the man's jaw to save both of their lives. The man and the parasite are both glad that Shinichi wasn't a monster like the others. The man introduces himself as Yuta Mamoru. Shinichi takes Yuta to the hospital. Yuta cries after hearing what Shinichi went through. His parasite thinks he cries too much. Migi seems somewhat more sympathetic compared to Yuta's parasite. Yuta requests Shinichi to help him with the parasite that killed his mom. Shinichi is glad to have an ally. Migi wakes up Shinichi at night to tell him something important. The parasite asks if Shinichi remembers himself running at incredible speed and jumping incredible heights. Migi shows how he's able to multiple, to a certain extent, until his figments lose all consciousness and return. However, Migi can stay inside Shinichi's heart in several fragments and not lose the directive. While trying to save Shinichi by creating a heart, Migi's fragments are scattered throughout Shinichi's body. Migi is incapable of communicating with the fragments to get them back. He also thinks those fragments are harmless and can't take over this brain since they don't share consciousness. Shinichi shares his inability to cry ever since he was revived by Migi. Maki finds Shinichi at the bridge. Shinichi asks her if she looks like a normal human being to her. She thinks he looks normal, but something inside him is crying. Suddenly, Yuta calls Shinichi. He says that he has located the parasite. The parasite is 100 meters away from them, and it's coming closer after sensing them. Shinichi tells them to run because if the parasite finds out Yuta has a human brain, it'll kill him. Yuta escapes to Shinichi. Yuta is exhausted by the running. His parasite thinks Yuta has no chance against the parasite since a parasite that has taken over the brain is stronger. While Shinichi is trying to find Yuta, Migi tells them he cannot remain awake any longer. Migi goes to sleep after giving Shinichi a weapon for his survival. Meanwhile, Yuta has reached a dead end. The parasite has found him. The parasite attacks Yuta. His parasite defends against the attacks, but not for long. Yuta gets pierced through the heart and falls off the cliff. The parasite senses Shinichi. The parasite is amazed to see him alive since it was sure it killed him. It attacks Shinichi but fails to hit him. The parasite is bewildered by Shinichi's enhanced abilities. Shinichi finds Yuta dying under the cliff. He decides to end this with a hit to the neck. The parasite is overwhelmed by Shinichi's attacks and finds itself on the ground. Shinichi goes for the kill but hesitates after seeing the burn mark on his mother. It attacks Shinichi and gathers itself just to get its head chopped off. Yuta's parasite's surprise attack was managed to kill it. His parasite relocated Yuta's heart and vital organs, so the hit Yuta took was not lethal. Having dealt with the dangers, Shinichi says his goodbyes to Migi. Shinichi and his father talk about her mother. Shinichi asks if his mother suffered in his father's supposed dream. His father tells him it was over swiftly without any suffering. Shinichi finally can rest. He goes back home and starts taking his classes again. Mitsuo stops Kana on the way. He thinks Kana is into Shinichi and gets jealous. Mitsuo goes to Shinichi's school to teach him a lesson. Mitsuo asks Shinichi if he's seeing Kana. Shinichi tells him he was away on a trip. Mitsuo attacks, but Shinichi dodges all of his attacks effortlessly. Murano comes in worried for Shinichi, but Shinichi assures her there's nothing to worry about and leaves Mitsuo defeated. Murano asks Shinichi if something happened during the trip because his chat energy is off the charts. He assures her there's nothing to worry about. Kana senses Shinichi and his chat energy from miles away. Shinichi comes home to find his dad drinking. He tells his father to take care of his health and get some food. He suggests getting a housemaid. His dad thinks he's cruel and tells him to do whatever he likes. Shinichi thinks something is wrong with his heart. He can't cry and he feels something is lost. Shinichi feels like his senses have heightened. He can hear afar if he focuses. Shinichi hears someone calling for help. A dog is dying on the street. Migi asks that the dog's internal organs are destroyed. It only has a few minutes to live. After seeing Shinichi helping the dog, Murano tells how she misunderstood Shinichi after he came back from his trip. To Murano's surprise, Shinichi dumps the dead dog into the trash can. Murano asks him why he would do such a thing. Shinichi thinks the dog to be nothing but a lump of meat. Murano's suspicions were right. Shinichi was different. Disappointed by Shinichi's indifference to the dog, Murano leaves him. Shinichi asks Migi if he also thinks something is wrong with him. Migi sees nothing wrong with his behavior, but comparing that dog to a lump of meat is what Migi would say. Shinichi sees how his behavior is becoming more like a parasite. He buries the little dog, yet fails to understand the meaning of life. Shinichi tries to apologize to Murano. However, Murano doesn't want to talk to him. He decides to give her some space. Suddenly, Migi senses another parasite. Migi says that the parasite isn't Tamiya and it seems like it isn't hostile. Migi suggests meeting the parasite in public since it doesn't seem like an enemy. He speculates the parasite might be willing to negotiate like Tamiya. The parasite finds Shinichi. The parasite introduces itself as Shimada Hideo. He's in Murano's class. The parasite offers friendship and tells Shinichi to meet him during PI class. Hideo is faster than Shinichi at running. Shinichi asks if he plans to kill him. He asks if Tamiya sent him. Hideo assures him he means no harm to him or any other students at the school. He says he has adapted to live on human diets and never killed anyone. Hideo suggests he and Tamiya are trying to find ways so that the humans and parasites can coexist. Migi is interested in the proposal and plans to think about it despite them not believing Hideo completely. Migi tells Shinichi to leave and have this conversation another time. Turns out, Migi needs to sleep. He can't afford Hideo funding out of their weakness, so he made Shinichi leave. Murano finds Shinichi. She wonders whether what she said to Shinichi was too mean or not, since most people wouldn't have cared about a dying puppy in the first place. Meanwhile, Shinichi is deep in thought, thinking about what Hideo proposed. Kana mistakes her ability to sense parasites for finding her soulmate, soon to be a costly mix-up. She mistakes Hideo for Shinichi. Hideo suspects Kana might be onto something. He grabs them and tries to take her. Shinichi stops him and warns him. If anything happens to anyone Shinichi knows, Hideo will be the first to die. Hideo leaves. Kana requests Shinichi to walk her to the station to make Murano jealous. Kana tells Shinichi how she's able to sense certain people. Shinichi warns her because the sense might lead her to dangerous people. At night, Hideo is out hunting. He changes his face and picks up a lost girl. Shinichi finds his dad drinking again. He asks Shinichi how he's so emotionally strong now. It's as if he's a different person. Tachikawa is drawing her crush, Hideo, while he is devouring people whole. Kana sensed Hideo allowing her. She runs into Matsuo, who tries to teach Hideo a lesson. Hideo beats Matsuo and warns him. Hideo also senses Tachikawa, who's been stalking him. Shinichi recalls Murano and his first meeting and how different they were. Meanwhile, Hideo is on to Shinichi and Migi. He senses Migi's lack of presence and plans to provoke it by radiating hostility, to which Shinichi shows no response. Tachikawa is head over heels for Hideo. Her friend suggests Hideo might be fake, which grows suspicion in her. Shinichi finds his father being investigated by some officers. They are trying to learn more about his wife's death. The investigators believe that there's something wild roaming that's beyond their understanding. Meanwhile, Tamiya seems aware that the humans are onto them. She suggests they must change their ways if they don't want to be hunted down. The investigators left Dad. Dad decides to tell Shinichi about how his mother died. Shinichi listens without telling him about his right hand. Tachikawa's brother is investigating the recent monster attacks. Tachikawa shows him the picture of Hideo and asks him if he thinks it's odd. Her brother tells it's impossible to tell that from a picture, but suspicion inside Tachikawa is growing. The next day, Tachikawa finds Hideo standing alone and looking at something. A ball hits his head and deforms it. Tachikawa's suspicions became reality. Shinichi plans to make things right with Murano. As he's about to apologize, Migi senses Hideo's killing instinct. Migi believes if Shinichi doesn't intervene, it'll be a massacre. Shinichi rushes to save them from Hideo. He finds Hideo and tells him how he showed his true colors. Shinichi tells Hideo to leave and stays to fight for him instead. Shinichi warns the gang's boss, Yano, not to go after Hideo again. Yano tries to punch Shinichi, but Shinichi blocks his punch. He realizes how outmatched he is and leaves. Murano waits for Shinichi with his bag. Shinichi thanks Murano for it. Suddenly, Hideo sneaks up on them. Hideo asks if Shinichi beat the guys up in his stead. Shinichi tells him that it's none of his business and makes him leave. Murano sees his rage and hatred for Hideo. Murano thinks it's unlike Shinichi. She asks if he's Shinichi. He lashes out, making Murano leave. Shinichi suspects his heart for his rude behavior. Migi tells his behaviors to seem perfect for a life form. Fewer mood swings, focus, and being mentally strong are the qualities a perfect life form should have. Tachikawa is following Hideo. She sees him changing clothes and changing his face too. Tachikawa pieces the clues together and discusses the matter with her brother. She thinks about telling her brother, but before she wants to ask Hideo herself. The next morning, she meets Hideo alone. She asks if he really kills people. Hideo prepares to kill Tachikawa. Like and subscribe to find out what happens to Tachikawa in the next video. We'll return very shortly with a new video. Until then, take care.